operations. We need to continue our conversation with Bernie Kerik, the one-time New York City Police Commissioner, currently CEO of the Kerik Group. Obviously, Bernie, there is always a, quote, friendly rivalry between New York City and your neighbors to the north in Boston. But it is worth noting, and you said it at the top of this broadcast, there's nothing in the nation like the assemblage of humanity at Times Square in New York on New Year's Eve. And I'm wondering if we could amplify again the number of expected people in that area and the number of cops, because this is where a numbers game is very important.
Well, the crowd that comes to Times Square on New Year's Eve, and it really, a lot of it depends on the weather. The warmer the weather, the more people that will come. Could range from anywhere from 500,000 to 2 million people. And they're spread out on 7th Avenue and Broadway, from the middle, the heart of Times Square, which is 44th Street, all the way up to 57th and down to 34th. And then from 6th Avenue over to 8th Avenue. And it's a lot of people. The NYPD does a tremendous job in corralling them off, keeping them in frozen zones, stopping movement in certain areas. There'll be between 3,000, I would say between 3,000 and 4,000 cops assigned to that detail. Plus you have a whole counterterrorism contingent tonight, looking for, staying on top of possible threats. We haven't heard of any specific threats, but they're out there looking for these things.
Now,
there'll be an enormous contingent.
Bernie, we heard obviously from the Boston Police Commissioner William Evans saying that First Amendment rights are going to be protected, but circumstances may dictate arrests. Now, again, you have served as the New York Police Commissioner. If you had advice for the current commissioner, Bill Bratton, what would that advice be about tonight?
Well, Commissioner Evans, the one thing he said, they have the right to protest. People have the First Amendment right to protest. But if those protests create in any way a physical threat to an area, and that could really happen in the Times Square area, then there's going to have to be they're going to have to be taken out of there. And I don't think Bratton needs my advice to do that. I think he's going to be on top of it. Have to stay very aggressive with these protesters. If they go out there and they start stirring havoc or creating some kind of inciting the crowd, you incite a crowd of 500,000 people to two. You start a stampede, somebody's going to get hurt and possibly killed. So they have to stay on top of it.
Is it at this point in time where Mayor de Blasio could make a public statement, one of a conciliatory statement toward the police, and actually calling those in the Big Apple to some form of code of civil conduct for tonight? Would that be helpful? Would that be constructive?
Well, I think the mayor should address the protesters. The mayor should tell them basically tonight, one is not the night to go out there and stir havoc and do some of the things they have done in the past. People have said they're peaceful protests. That has not been the case in many circumstances. Tonight would not be the night to go out there and start havoc like they have in the past. And I think the mayor would want to get that message out to them as aggressively as possible.
So we need that kind of statement from Mayor de Blasio in your estimation. And let's just say he makes that statement, things remain as routine as they can in terms of calm amidst the revelry of the celebration at Times Square. Would that really help improve relations between the mayor and the police?
Well, I think the relationship between the mayor and the police is pretty much a separate issue. The police department, the members of the NYPD have to feel like they're being supported. They're indemnified by the city, that the mayor has their back. And hopefully that's what that meeting was about yesterday. And I'm praying that that was the beginning of an end to this rift between them and the mayor, because it doesn't help anyone.
Fair enough. Bernie, it does not
Going
help
forward.
anyone. And unfortunately, our time draws to a close. As always, sir, we thank you for your insights. A happy new year to you. Worth noting, you can see us on 2 channels on Dish, currently on 206, and of course, we're available 24